my son or whatever. And the kids are like, no, but my mom might. And he's like, oh, is your mom home? And so he like kind of understands like what their family dynamic is like. And so basically he learns that like the dad's not home or whatever. And so he knows that he's going to trap this mom, bind her. The part of the like torture was like he'd strangle them and then let them go, strangle them and let them go. And then he like hung the kids in the rafters and like killed them down there. So that's like BTK, but he killed for a length of time, didn't get caught. And then later in his life, he killed again. So, you know, there doesn't have to be like one specific stretch of time for a serial killer to be active. It just totally depends on like the kind of person they are. And if they get caught, that's a big thing too, is some people just don't get caught because some, you know, back in the day, especially before we had technology, police, like they didn't talk to one another. Like if you murdered someone in one county and went to another county and murdered someone else, those two counties wouldn't put two and two together because they didn't talk to one another.
That is weird.
Yeah. So you could be a serial killer now, but I think it would just have to be so much harder.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Forensics
for sure.
is crazy.
Forensics and like we're constantly filmed, right? Like
Oh yeah.
there's no way.
Right now everyone's wearing masks though.
Oh my god,
Dude, I'd be caught by the ring. I'd be caught by the Ring doorbell in seconds. I'm like, shit.
you're like the doorbell ditch killer.
Who's this little kid running away?
He's called Mark, the doorbell ditcher.
The doorbell ditch and killer. And then you bury him in a ditch. It's all full circle. You have to have a brand. If you're a serial, it's fun, you know, win.
But
serial killers have things.
The ditch, he puts an old door and a bell in.
Oh my god. That's like too much work. What if
I
it's
don't
like
know.
a miniature?
Not for serial killer, especially.
Not for Mark.
They're like, he's like, dude, I'm doorbell ditcher.
They come upon just a field of doors and doorbells.
Holy crap. Oh my god. He's got
He's striked.
This is insane.
Stroked. I don't know what you do there.
doors like gravestones.
No one notices it though for like years. They're just like, oh, that's where all the doors go.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's where all the doors
It's
go.
really cute.
There's that one weird neighbor of ours.
It's the cemetery for houses.
What you tell your kids.
What would Myles be then? Can't be the Phantom Barber because there's already a Phantom Barber.
And
unless he's the new
barber doesn't
Phantom
kill.
Barber.
He just cuts
Yeah.
their hair.
But-
Like, why wouldn't you work at a high scale salon? If you like to cut blonde girls' hair, you could literally get your fetish off
Dude,
and get paid for it.
blondes
That's what I don't
spend the
understand.
most money on their hair.
That's what I mean.
100%.
Just like find a high scale salon and just cut.
But what if they're ugly?
Speaking of which, since we're talking about the Phantom Barber, I'm going to shout out Jeff Marshall because he shouted me out.
What did
Marshall,
you say?
I hope you're
Mr.
listening.
Marshall, I hope you listen to this. I love you, man.
I miss you,
I hope
Marshall.
you're doing right in Texas.
We miss you, Marshall.
I would
miss
never
you both.
come visit you in Texas, but
Hey, he's
I
actually
miss
here
you.
in Utah right now.
Is he?
I
And he
believe
didn't
so.
hit me up. So anyways,
That's
your
rude.
shout out
Never
is
mind.
redacted.
We hate you, Marshall. How dare you not hit up your old coworkers?
We take that shout out back.
Yeah.
Redacted.
Oh my gosh.
So if Myles was a serial killer that like already exists, or if Myles was like his own, like if Myles tomorrow was like woke up and was like,
Daphne's looking at me like, I think he's already serial killer.
I think we just should
I
wait
think
and
he's
see what
just-
happens.
Should we
I think
back
it's
it
just
up to like
himself.
2002 with the
Yeah,
blonde,
right.
with the iced hair?
It was Justin Timberlake.
The boy band killer.
It was JT that did this to me.
JT's hair looks like ramen. It
When he left,
hair looks nice.
When he left NSYNC,
Looked like freaking ramen.
When he left NSYNC, I killed everybody with blonde tips.
You know what? I remember when One Direction broke up, and I felt the same exact way. So
now you
shout
know.
out to my girls.
Was it NSYNC that had the album No Strings Attached?
Yeah.
Yes.
You could be the
So I'm definitely
something.
the opposite of.
Like the puppet master.
I'm the opposite
The
of what
puppet.
was it? Bind, torture, kill. I'm the opposite because there's no strings attached.
Whoa, that was the best thing you've ever
Perfect.
said.
This guy.
Comedy at its peak. Comedy at its finest. Just Myles.
I'm actually not funny. I just laugh so hard at my own jokes that people think I'm funny.
Oh my God, me too, actually.
I get told that actually, which
Oh.
is sad.
Who's told you that?
My best friend.
Who's that?
His name's Brett,
It's not Clyde.
and he does art.
The guy from the pizza
I thought
place?
it was Clyde.
Clyde would be my best friend if he hit me up more often.
Clyde.
I redact your shout out as well, Clyde.
Clyde. Hope you're
And is
listening.
Brett the friend that
Shane.
works at the pizza place?
Yeah, Lucky Slice.
I love him.
Speaking of Lucky Slice,
so cool.
murderers.
What? That was the worst segue I've ever heard. Shout out to Lucky Slice.
Dude, I feel like there are like serial killers all around us then.
Oh, there.
We had some crazy stuff happening in Kaysville one time, didn't we?
All the time. But what are you like?
Then wasn't there like some like crazy activity going on? Like,
Yeah.
there was. I thought I heard something. I couldn't find it on the news, but
I mean, like, I remember. So I grew up in Kaysville, and I grew up on the border of Layton and Kaysville, and like, no shade to Layton, but like, growing up, people were like, Layton's like the ghetto to Kaysville.
it really was.
That's where I live, by the way.
Are you really from Layton?
I live there.
Explains so much. But like, I lived on the border of Layton and Kaysville, and like, I remember there was like a shady hotel on Main Street in Kaysville. So my house was just up the street from that. And when there was like a gunman running around Kaysville, he like came by our house, and we were on lockdown, and I was like, I don't even know, like maybe 8. And I just remember being like, this is the most exciting thing that's ever happened. Why doesn't Kaysville have more crazy stuff going on? Like,
everybody else is in their house and locked.
And I'm just peeking out the window.
Daphne's on the front porch.
That says, "Gunman, we love you.
Keep going.
We love you, gunman.
We need this story. I want Utah to be in the serial killer books."
Well, Utah is in the serial killer books.
Is it really? Yeah. Oh, because of Ted Bundy.
Mr. Theodore Bundy.
Yeah.
Shout out to my boy.
You were going to say I'm Ted Bundy, huh?
Well, you
that.
could totally be Ted Bundy, because Ted Bundy was like very charming, and like he was successful in what he did because he was very good with like presenting himself, and that's why he was so good at being
That's why he got all the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Myles, you get ladies all the time. I've never seen Myles without a lady.
Didn't he work at the University of Utah?
So he studied there. So he studied law there for a little while, because Ted Bundy wanted to be a lawyer and a politician, which I'm not saying all lawyers and politicians are serial killers. But
they are serial killers.
They
don't do it themselves.
The most charismatic people
That's very true.
are psychopaths, and those are CEOs and presidents.
It's kind of like Jeffrey Epstein and the documentary on Netflix.
1000%.
It's so bizarre that when you have money,
you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. And these are the guys not getting caught, though. They're serial killers or serial rapists. I don't know if that's the best word to use right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep this,
No, serial rape is a thing.
But like the people with money get away with it.
Yeah, if you have money, you can. If you have that charm, it's like factor X, I think is what some people call it.
Because they talk about it all the time with a bunch of serial killers, is that they can talk somebody off a cliff or on a cliff.
Yeah, it is.
Back on, I guess.
It's creepy. It's creepy.
And I mean, I go back to like what I don't think anyone's ever called this, and I hope no one does, because I regret saying it, but the Holy Trinity, right? Bundy, Gacy, and Dahmer. Bundy was an avid politician. He was a Republican. He was involved in politics. John Wayne Gacy was an avid Democrat. He was part of politics in his like local community as well as like statewide. He was a businessman, a business owner. And like these are the people that are like successful, and they know how to talk to people, and they're the ones that are able to lure these kind of victims.
Exactly, which begs the question. If you have that amount of money and you figure out you have that control of people,
you can get away with it.
What stops you?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You get your own island.
Like, I'm not saying, right?
The Lolita Express.
What do they call it? Pedophile Island?
Pedophile Island. Pedophiland.
Yeah, I mean, it begs the question: is it a human thing that happens with a lot of people, or is it?
Sure.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Oh,
a lot of people,
I'm sure it's happening.
People say like, "Oh, serial killers, you're kind of weird. Like you're not the norm." But
it's
I think if you look up at like a lot of unsolved mysteries and like people getting away with stuff.
Oh yeah,
it could.
They're paying them off. They're paying out so much money. Just
got to be so many.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, and there's so many people that could have been serial killers or like murderers, but it's the whole nature versus nurture thing, right? So people like, let's say, Ted Bundy, weird childhood. They call it, I
thought he had a pretty normal childhood for the most part, because I thought they just said his
dad was his grandpa.
Or was it that?
Yeah, his dad was his grandpa, like supposedly, and like he, like from an outside perspective, he had a very normal life, but he
exactly. What do you know though?
So I know that
what people talk about, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying.
Oh yeah. No, exactly.
I just mean in his life.
Is you don't actually know what goes on behind closed doors.
Exactly.
And the thing with Bundy is like if he had that factor X or whatever you want to call it, but he had, nurturing, loving parents and like had a normal, quote unquote, normal childhood, would he have done
it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Or he just, fought people instead. What? Maybe he would have been the best MMA fighter. Jeffrey Dahmer.
He trained right MMA. Here. He trained right in this.
I want to kill people, and then the bell rings, and then he's like, "All right, I'm all right."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's that whole argument of like, is it safer for these people who have these like deviant tendencies to, watch, like, for example, like porn that has like, violent things happening.
Violent nature to it, yeah.
Is that better for them to watch those things than to actually do it? Because they're getting those like feelings out. I don't know. It's like kind of crazy to think about it, but I'm sure there's so many people that have those tendencies that don't act upon them.
Yeah. Do you think like video games like today has an impact on that too? Like I just don't know, because a lot of people are like, no, video games don't.
I think that it can have an impact in a way that maybe somebody that does have Factor X, like Daphne talks about,
right?
That they might start playing something that they can murder somebody in and get like a real enjoyment out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's not the video game. They already have something that's not clicking.
Right. The Switch is just...
I grew up, I'm 30 years old. I grew up in a time where mature video games weren't really pushed when I went to the store. I could go buy one without being pressured too much, right? And I've never been a violent person. I've played mature games since I was a child. So I don't think that it's something that affected me. But like I said, if you have those tendencies, then I can see that being an easy escape, especially as a kid.
Yeah.
To be like, well, I kind of like murdering people. They can do it on the video game, and then as soon as, they feel like they can do it themselves, they're like, all right, cool, now let's actually...
See, that's where Daphne gets us. She loves this stuff, but she plays Animal Crossing.
For hours. I've logged hundreds of hours there.
She's the only person that recommended that you could kill other animals on Animal Crossing.
I was like, why isn't there a murder option?
She's the one person.
Well, speaking of killing animals, that's like part of the McDonald's triad, which I was talking about earlier, which is like if you have higher tendencies. I don't know if this is 100% like accurate anymore, like scientifically, or but it's like you are a bedwetter, you have a head injury as a child, and you like to mutilate animals.
Yes, the animals one I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like,
that one makes sense because it's a living thing that you're...
Yeah, and you're just like enjoying...
Yeah, that you don't have any remorse for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because even as a kid, like potato bugs, somebody smashed it. I was kind of devastated,
Miles is here crying.
Like think about there's 5 kids. Think about the one kid that's standing next to you, he's laughing.
That's the serial killer.
Right?
Those are the kids we need to lock up, like 1,000%.
Or at least watch. At least pay attention to them.
Oh, right. You can just...
Oh, I was bad then. I put them in my airsoft gun. And
no, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. Uh-oh. It was once and I felt really bad.
Okay, that's fine. I'm talking about like slitting cats' throats and stuff.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
Just feeling no remorse.
I could never... For life. No way.
Yeah.
I know people down in other like Texas and stuff, and they're like, yeah, I just went out and shot my dog because it's like, I just got sick of it and it was old. I'm like... You are sick in the head.
I'm afraid of Texas, I'm going to be honest.
Like, how can you sleep by doing that? I couldn't.
Sure. And I can understand if the animal had an injury, because that's what they do.
The farmer mentality, right?
It makes sense, but I don't think I still could.
Mm-mm.
Oh, no.
No way.
I couldn't personally. No way. And like you said, it would keep me up at night.
Yeah.
100%.
I like step on a cat's foot and I like cry. I'm like, oh no, the kitty is mad at me.
But no, I'm even the same with spiders. A lot of people are scared of them. I prefer to get them out of my house, not smash them.
I can't go near them. I can't
even talk about spiders. I'm like getting shivery, icky.
Ew.
So do you guys just instantly smash them? Or
I'm too afraid to smash them.
Can you not even get close?
I can't get close.
And cry.
I killed my first spider like 2 weeks ago. I'm dead serious.
I'm proud of you.
It was the scariest thing in the entire world.
Aww.
It was with my flip flop.
It was probably like the size of a pea.
You're like,
it basically was.
It was on my face.
Oh my god.
It was looking at me on my window well. I was just staring at me. I woke up and I'm like freaking scared.
He spends 2 hours staring at the spider, kind of getting the courage up.
I actually went upstairs and said, Mom, I killed my first spider. And she's like, good job.
She was so proud of you. She made you like special pancakes with
just
like
special
smiley
pancakes.
face.
That's
moms.
fantastic.
Am I right?
Mickey Mouse pancakes. Boop, boop, boop.
Chocolate chip pancakes.
Yeah.
Those are
Right.
dang.
And then it was like PTSD. Chocolate chips. You're like,
Because they're
oh my
like,
God,
those
they
are
look like
spiders.
spiders.
It's like goose.